It just got really quiet. I guess that means I should start. We ready, Lisa? Okay. Please, everyone, be seated. Good afternoon. I'm Annette Stanton, and I have the honor of serving as chair of the Department of Psychology. Welcome to our department's doctoral hooding ceremony and celebration. As we begin, please silence your cell phones and keep the aisles clear, and thank you in advance for respecting our graduates as we celebrate them today. Before I introduce the faculty and the candidates, I want to let you know that the program for the ceremony is paperless, and hopefully you've gotten the QR code. There is one, there's some throughout, there's one on the back podium if you want the QR code for the program. Also, our ceremony today is being live streamed and recorded, and the link to view our ceremony is in the program, and so you can watch it again and again and again if you'd like. If you'd like to take a photo of your graduate on the stage after the ceremony, you're most welcome to do so, so please feel free to come up. Would the faculty of the Department of Psychology please enter and remain standing? It is my great honor to present the UCLA Department of Psychology candidates for the PhD. Candidates and faculty, please be seated. The Department of Psychology at UCLA acknowledges our presence on the traditional ancestral and unceded territory of the Gabrielino Tongva peoples. Today is the culmination of a great achievement, the attainment of the highest academic degree from one of the world's finest universities. We can all feel great pride, especially the candidates, of course, for their singular accomplishment, but all the rest of us too. You're the parents, partners, siblings, relatives, friends of our candidates. You've contributed support and encouragement, tangible and intangible, often across many years, support that has been vital to the remarkable achievements we recognize today. This is also a wonderful day for us, the faculty, because the adults we honor today have excelled during their years with us. Over the time, they've gone from being our protégés to now our colleagues and friends. The difficulty of earning a PhD should not be underestimated. First, students must be accepted into our program. Our Department of Psychology's program receives about 800 applications each year, and the applicants are among the very best in the nation. Only about 5% of the applicants enter our PhD program, so you all are a rare group. Our new students are greeted with advanced courses and must complete a first-year research project. Then there are more courses, a lot more research, a written qualifying exam, a preliminary oral exam, and a dissertation oral defense. For some, there is also clinical practicum training integrated with research. In addition to cultivating deep knowledge in psychology, our students often develop expertise in diverse other areas, from cultures to neuroscience, from linguistics to neuroanatomy. Throughout all this, we encourage and expect and get the very best from our students. Our graduate programs are ranked among the best in the world, and we realize that our graduates are our representatives, that our rankings are based in part on your accomplishments during your time at UCLA and going forward into the future. All of you chose a rare, tough path, which involved many choices about time, energy, sleep, and much more. We recognize the challenging path you've completed, and we acknowledge it, one that both resembles and is distinct from the path we chose years ago. We're impressed with your persistence, especially considering what you've experienced during the pandemic, the UC-wide strike, and disturbances at our campus, in the nation, and across the globe. We admire you, and we're thrilled by your success. To give you some idea of the accomplishments of the graduates we recognize today, let me cite a little bit more data, which is what we all do because we're psychological scientists, right? We trust the data. You have given more than 438 conference presentations, and I say more than only because you probably gave some last week and we didn't get that in. You've published more than 337 scientific articles. You've served as teaching assistants for 369 quarters, and you've received more than 169 major awards. Congratulations for those incredible accomplishments. Your productivity surely exceeds the accomplishments of the entire faculties in most psychology departments. Years from now, we'll see your names of many of you among our leaders in the field. With great pride, we now recognize our graduating doctoral scholars in the company of their family and friends. Before introducing our graduate speakers, I'd like to identify 4 of our department staff and acknowledge them because they have worked especially closely with our graduate students and have been deeply involved in their support during graduate school. Lisa Lee is our graduate supervisor. Sarah Jimenez is our graduate services coordinator. Jonathan Bonilla is our graduate program advisor. And Diego Garcia is our instructional scheduling coordinator. I would also like to give my deep thanks to our Vice Chair for Graduate Studies. Professor Ted Robles could not be here today, but he wishes you all very well, and I know you've received that personally. And Anna Lau is our interim Vice Chair for Graduate Studies, and she is here with us today. Our deepest thanks to all of you. It's now my great pleasure to introduce two of our candidates to offer this year's graduate address. Will Dr. Jamie Mondello and Dr. Danielle Curran please join us on stage? Congratulations, Jamie.
Good afternoon, faculty, fellow graduates, friends, and family. It's an honor to stand before you today as we mark this significant milestone in our academic and personal journeys. It's pretty surreal after working towards this for so long. And when I look out at my peers, I don't just see brilliant, talented individuals. What I also see is perseverance. All of us have overcome different challenges during this journey. One that I know that we all had was the pandemic and lockdown, that scary, uncertain time that has lasting impacts on us still today, even if it seems like collective society has moved on. But I know that there were other hurdles and obstacles unique to each and one of us that you guys endured throughout this journey, ones that you might have battled quietly. Health issues, family troubles, financial stress, systemic barriers. It could have been a major life event that set your world off kilter, or daily persistent struggles that just wore you down. But still you persevered. And it's that part of your achievement of pushing through the obstacles to cross the finish line that I want to acknowledge today, because your resilience and determination is inspiring. I very quickly realized after coming here, I didn't just go to graduate school with fantastic researchers as my peers. I also went with dedicated mentors, teachers, community advocates, and activists. It was my greatest pride to fight alongside so many of you for better working conditions. We represent a cohort of students that dared to stand up to make academia a better place. And that battle is far from over, but we sure did make our mark. And no matter where you all end up, I hope that that perseverance and drive will carry on to shape this world for better, that you continue to do that. Congratulations.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Curran. It's wonderful to see so many colleagues, mentors, family, and friends in the audience and on the stage. Congratulations to all my fellow doctors being honored here today. It has certainly been a long journey for us all as we've roamed these halls or sat in our windowless offices for several years, dreaming of the day that we would reach this point. We've been through so much as a graduating cohort, and yet we've all had such individual journeys that it's difficult to find the words to encapsulate the triumphs and setbacks, the highs and lows, the joys and sorrows of being a graduate student in psychology. On my journey, there's been no lack of any of these. I've added lines to my CV when I've had successes, and I've read and reread rejections beyond what one might consider healthy reflection. I got my first author publication in grad school, and I received feedback as a teaching assistant from a student who said I clearly didn't want to be there. I had remote hangs with friends during the most intense periods of COVID, and had check-ins when the stress of all the unrest in our communities near and far began to feel like too much. But throughout all of these experiences, I've taken comfort and joy in knowing that no matter how wacky, stressful, or overwhelming things got, I wasn't going through it alone. It has been so amazing to see the transition we've made from brand new students struggling through stats to established researchers, cherished educators and mentors, and experienced clinicians. I think it's fair to say we've all formed countless friendships, mentoring relationships, and professional collaborations that we will carry with us as we move on to whatever the next stage of our journeys may be. I am so incredibly proud of all of us, and I, for one, cannot wait to see what happens once we are all officially unleashed upon the world. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Mondello and Dr. Curran. I'd like now to present Professor Anna Lau, Acting Vice Chair for Graduate Studies, who will announce the winner of the Dina Chertoff Graduate Student Service Award. Professor Lau?
Dina Chertoff served as graduate advisor for our department for 38 years. When she retired in 2009, the Graduate Student Service Award was established in her name to honor her caring service to countless graduate students and to the entire department. This award honors a graduate student who has made outstanding contributions to the overall well-being of the students, faculty, and staff in the psychology department. Every year, we have a truly outstanding group of nominees, all of whom make important and impactful contributions to our department. I'm pleased to announce this year's recipient of the Dina Chertoff Graduate Student Service Award is Dr. Yvonne Pajot. Will Dr. Pajot please come forward? Where people can see you over here. Okay. Well done. Dr. Pajot is you have to stay. Dr. Pajot, Yvonne is a pillar of the community and an outstanding teacher. She was a buddy every year for incoming health psychology graduate students, served as an Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Student Advisory Board member, acted as the Health Psychology Graduate Student Representative, worked as a UGSB Transfer Student Outreach Committee member, offered academic support through the UJIMA Mentorship Program, peer-mentored students in the Competitive EDGE program for underrepresented minority students, and so much more. Beyond mentorship, Yvonne has contributed greatly to the well-being of the department through her academic work, which focuses on clarifying how structural inequalities may impact health in people of color. Her writing offers nuanced insight into the psychological and physiological dynamics that shape wellness, particularly in Black breast cancer survivors. Additionally, she analyzed data for the UCLA Center for Advancement of Racial Equity at Work to guide policy decisions related to Black labor, employment, and low-wage work. These professional contributions have not only enriched our department in the form of presentations about her work, but also through her insightful feedback for others drawing from this structural lens. Yvonne has dedicated herself to building a safe and supportive environment for students in the psychology department through one-on-one mentorship, acting as a role model, and offering advice and guidance. She's gone out of her way many times to provide extra support to students in need. Through the generous giving of her own time and energy, she has enhanced the well-being of many in our department. Thank you, Yvonne, for your contributions to the well-being of our community. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Pajot, the 2024 recipient of the Dina Chertoff Graduate Student Service Award. I'm now pleased to present Distinguished Professor Michelle Krask, who will honor the class of 2024 for their contributions to research and teaching.
When you arrived at UCLA, you faced a daunting and unusual challenge, one that is intrinsic to our graduate program and to the profession that you have chosen. What we have asked of you is that you become both composer and performer, that you develop not only the skills to generate knowledge, but also the skills to communicate that knowledge. Research and teaching are the twin foundations of education. Both are essential, and neither is sufficient. Research is the process by which we create what we then teach. Teaching is the process by which we convey knowledge, understanding, values, and ultimately the questions that fuel research. These two noble missions, research and teaching, demand the best of us. Research requires an enormous capacity for hard work, unique talents and commitment. It demands original and creative thinking, the ability to distinguish what is important from what is unimportant, and at times a very high threshold for tedium. At its noblest and best, research also requires honesty and respect for others, a commitment to the ideal that research should be free of bias and of other inaccuracies, and that it should be carried out with a deep respect for the welfare of subjects and others who may be affected. To be a teacher, an educator, requires still more. Teaching is its own craft, a complex skill to be learned, not something with which one is innately born. Being able to convey not only the facts of psychology, but the excitement is both an art and a science. Becoming a teacher, in the hallowed sense of that word, is a unique opportunity, an honor, and a responsibility. At its noblest and best, teaching requires a commitment to the craft of teaching, a willingness to give of oneself, and a deep respect for what it means to be a teacher. Across your graduate careers, you have embraced, with eagerness and without complaint, the unique challenge of becoming both composer and performer. We are proud of you as scientists, and we are proud of you as teachers. Thank you.
I would now like to present Professor Laura Ray, who will announce the winner of the Joseph A. Gingerelli Distinguished Dissertation Award. Professor Ray.
Professor Gingerelli, from whom the Distinguished Dissertation Award was named, is remembered and loved for his teaching, inspiration, and guidance of students, and for his innovative research, excellence as a colleague, and departmental leadership. The candidates committee nominates dissertations for the Gingerelli Distinguished Dissertation Award, and a special faculty committee makes the final award decision. The task of selecting one dissertation as the most outstanding is quite difficult. We view this as an opportunity to select one superior dissertation among a set of other superior dissertations. Awardees do not find out they have won the Gingerelli Award until it is announced here today. Are you ready? I am proud to announce Dr. Ivy Hong as the 2024 recipient of the Joseph A. Gingerelli Dissertation Award. The title of Dr. Hong's dissertation is Probing a Hypothalamic Midbrain Circuit for Model-Based Learning and Aberrant Decision-Making Following Methamphetamine. The chairs of Dr. Hong's doctoral committee are Professor Melissa Sharp and Professor Alicia Izquierdo. Professor Sharp and Izquierdo could not be with us today, so I will describe Dr. Hong's research to all of you. Ivy's thesis represents a critical development. Specifically, Ivy has revealed a new narrow pathway that uniquely regulates how we learn about our environment. What is more is that she has shown that this pathway is upregulated following exposure to drugs of abuse, which potentiates how we learn and respond to cues in the environment that are paired with rewards. This is critical because we know that how much we learn and respond to reward cues is linked to the likelihood that we will develop and sustain a substance use disorder. Thus, Ivy's work points to a new target for therapies that could help treat addiction. This is a huge achievement in itself, but Ivy's achievements didn't stop there. Ivy took advantage of every opportunity that being at UCLA afforded her. Indeed, she successfully won 6 grants totaling over $100,000 that funded her graduate research. Further, she has 4 publications, 3 of which are first author. One of these was recently published in Nature Neuroscience. And Ivy has another tour de force manuscript that's about to be submitted to Neuron. These are the best possible journals that Ivy could be publishing in, and this is absolutely outstanding for the graduate level. Ivy's thesis reflects this caliber of work. Ivy's interest in research is driven by a deep desire to understand how exposure to drugs of abuse changes our brains to influence the way we see the world. This became very clear to her advisor, Professor Sharp, during their first meeting. Ivy had read a paper and suggested on the spot experiments that she could do to test how the results might be relevant to drug addiction. This is what Ivy's thesis is all about. How are lateral hypothalamic circuits changed with drugs of abuse to produce the learning deficits that drive addiction? To do this, Ivy integrated her prior skills in training rats to self-administer methamphetamine with cell-type-specific optogenetics and fiber photometry of a genetically encoded dopamine sensor. This allowed Ivy to manipulate and record dopamine activity in lateral hypothalamic circuits by the millisecond in awake, behaving rodents. These impressive skills will serve Ivy well in our brave new world of genetic neuroscience. But more importantly, Ivy combined them to ask her research questions in sophisticated ways. This allowed Ivy to reveal for the first time a new dopamine projection to the lateral hypothalamus that underlines learning about reward cues. Further, she showed that dopamine activity in the circuit is enhanced following experience with methamphetamine, which produces a unique increase in dopamine release to reward cues. Critically, the neurodynamics of how this novel circuit is changed with drugs of abuse is new and has not been demonstrated before. This reveals a new, unique circuit that underlies important components of drug addiction. Altogether, Ivy's achievements across her graduate studies are nothing short of astounding. More than these fantastic achievements, Ivy is a wonderful person who has contributed in fundamental ways to the lab and also to the psychology department more generally. Ivy was always on hand to give advice or technical support to her peers, and she embraces her role as a mentor in the lab. These are the exact accomplishments and characteristics of a rising star in the field. And Ivy is the embodiment of the principles we share here at UCLA. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Hong, the 2024 winner of the Joseph A. Gingerelli Distinguished Dissertation Award.
We will now present our candidates, the class of 2024, in formal recognition of their distinguished achievements and their contribution to the field of psychology. Professor Lau?
We will now present our candidates, the class of 2024, in formal recognition of their distinguished achievements. Did you already say this? I'm clearly filling in. Doctoral hooding is a tradition that dates back to the 12th and 13th centuries. The blue velvet on the hood represents the PhD degree. The blue and gold colors visible on the back represent UCLA's colors. The candidate and the faculty placing the hood on the candidate will be joined on stage by Professor Melissa Packett-Smith. Professor Packett-Smith, please rise and step forward. We are fortunate to have Professor Packett-Smith working closely with all our graduate students as they learn to apply evidence-based and inclusive teaching practices in the classroom. Will the candidates please rise and form a line? Faculty, once you see your graduate on stage left, please stand. After I call your name, you can make your way to beside Professor Packett-Smith. We have 41 candidates we are honoring with a PhD. I'm proud to present Dr. Ega Maria Alacham. She will be hooded by Professor Han Du. The chair of her dissertation committee is Professor Du. The title of her dissertation is Factored Regression Specifications for Composite with Categorical Item Level Missing Data. I'm proud to present Dr. Jordan Brabetz. He will be hooded by Professors Elizabeth Bjork and Robert Bjork. The chair of his doctoral committee is Professor Elizabeth Bjork. The title of his dissertation is The True-False Test at Its Best, a not the treatise of optimization with competitive construction. I'm proud to present Dr. Joni Brown. She will be hooded by Professor Patrick Wilson. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Christine Dunkelstetter. The title of her dissertation is Familial Socialization of Black Girls About Black Womanhood and Sexual and Reproductive Health. I'm proud to present Dr. Jason Chin. He will be hooded by Professor Benjamin Carney. The chair of his doctoral committee is Professor Yen Huo. The title of his dissertation is Group Category Expansiveness and Engagement in Collective Action, Pathways to Solidarity Amongst People of Color. I'm proud to present Dr. Jia Chosen. She will be hooded by Professor Lauren Ng. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Ng. The title of her dissertation is Can Contextual Factors Help Explain Access to engagement in and effectiveness of psychological interventions for minoritized adolescents with trauma exposure. I'm proud to present Dr. Danielle Curran. She will be hooded by Professor Catherine Carl-Scott. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Carl-Scott. The title of her dissertation is Anhedonia as a Transdiagnostic Symptom, Implications for Cognition and White Matter Development. I'm proud to present Dr. Alessandra Della Vecchia. She will be hooded by Professor Martin Monti. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Monti. The title of her dissertation is Perturbing the Edge of Consciousness, Examining Signatures of Criticality in the Conscious and Unconscious Brain. I'm proud to present Dr. Lauren DeFazio. She will be hooded by Professor Avishak Adhikari. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Adhikari. The title of her dissertation is New Insights into the Neural Circuits that Support Pavlovian Fear Conditioning. I'm proud to present Dr. Peter Fisher. He will be hooded by Professor Benjamin Carney. The chair of his doctoral committee is Professor Tiffany Brannon. The title of his dissertation is Investigating the Effects of Dynamic Social Norms and Conversations about Race on Racial Attitudes and Norm Perceptions Among White Americans. I'm proud to present Dr. Jessica Fossum. She will be hooded by Professor Craig Enders. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Amanda Montoya. The title of her dissertation is Impacts of Model Specification on Statistical Power and Type 1 Error Rate in Moderated Mediation Analysis. I'm proud to present Dr. Benjamin Haggerty. He will be hooded by Professor Benjamin Carney. The chair of his doctoral committee is Professor Carney. The title of his dissertation is Marriages in Their Socio-Ecological Contexts, the Effects of Social Networks and Neighborhoods on Marital Outcomes. I'm proud to present Dr. Laura Hazlett. She will be hooded by Professor Naomi Eisenberger. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Eisenberger. The title of her dissertation is, Can an anti-inflammatory medication reduce loneliness and promote positive interpersonal processes? I'm proud to present Dr. Ivy Hong. She will be hooded by Professor Kathy Cao. The co-chairs of her doctoral committee are Professors Melissa Sharp and Alicia Izquierdo. The title of her dissertation is Probing a hypothalamic midbrain circuit for model-based learning and aberrant decision-making following methamphetamine. I'm proud to present Megan Hoke. She will be honored by Professor Annette Stanton. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Stanton. The title of her dissertation is Promoting Adjustment in Uveal Melanoma Survivorship, a randomized trial targeting illness perceptions. I'm proud to present Dr. Megan Imundo. She will be hooded by Professors Elizabeth Bjork and Robert Bjork. The co-chairs of her doctoral committee are Professors Elizabeth Bjork and Robert Bjork. The title of her dissertation is Testing Together. Collaborative and individual practice testing can yield different patterns of learning following practice testing with varied formats. I'm proud to present Dr. Amalia Ionescu. She will be hooded by Professor Catherine Sandhofer. The co-chairs of her doctoral committee are Professors Catherine Sandhofer and Hongjing Liu. The title of her dissertation is Analogical Reasoning Involving Semantic Relations in Children and Machines. I'm proud to present Dr. Victoria Jacobi. She will be hooded by Professor Philip Kelman. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Kelman. The title of her dissertation is Learning Through Comparisons, an evaluation of simultaneous comparison trials in perceptual category learning. I'm proud to present Dr. Kendra Knudsen. She will be hooded by Professor Bruce Chorpita. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Chorpita. The title of her dissertation is Efficient Use of Clinical Decision Supports, an evaluation of change over time in the context of clinical supervision. I'm proud to present Dr. Logan Latham. He will be hooded by Professor Catherine Carlscott. The chair of his doctoral committee is Professor Carlscott. The title of his dissertation is Experiences of Discrimination and Psychosis Risk, Psychological and Neurobiological Mechanisms. I'm proud to present Dr. Kristen Lee. She will be hooded by Professor Janet Tomiyama. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Tomiyama. The title of her dissertation is Weight Stigma as a Stressor, Testing the Biobehavioral Pathways of the Cyclic Obesity Weight-Based Stigma Cobwebs Model. I'm proud to present Dr. Jordan Levinson. She will be hooded by Professor Janet Tomiyama. The co-chairs of her doctoral committee are Professors Tomiyama and Bridget Callahan. The title of her dissertation is Attitudes Toward Food and Weight in the Mother-Child Dynamic, a Mixed Methods Investigation. I'm proud to present Dr. Lindsay Meredith Broussard. She will be hooded by Professor Laura Ray. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Ray. The title of her dissertation is Immune Treatments for Alcohol Use Disorder, Translational Literature Review and Exploration of Clinical Mechanisms. I'm proud to present Dr. Allison Metz. She will be hooded by Professor Michelle Krask. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Krask. The title of her dissertation is Longitudinal and Experimental Studies Examining Social Support, Emotion Regulation, Depression, and Anxiety. I'm proud to present Dr. Jamie Mondello. She will be hooded by Professor Kathy Cal. The co-chairs of her doctoral committee are Professors Cal and Chris Evans. The title of her dissertation is Probing Opioid System Dynamics Driving Opioid Use Disorder Comorbidity with Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder and Chronic Pain. I'm proud to present Dr. Emily Neer. She will be hooded by Professor Catherine Sandhofer. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Sandhofer. The title of her dissertation is Transfer and Podcasts, Applying the Science of Learning to Podcasts. I'm proud to present Dr. Yervonne Pajot. She will be hooded by Professor Julianne Bauer. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Bauer. The title of her dissertation is Emotional and Behavioral Health Symptoms in Black Breast Cancer Survivors, Interpreting the Impact of Risk, Resilience, and Coping Using a Culturally Relevant Approach. I'm proud to present Dr. Hunter Pruniski. He will be hooded by Professor Keith Holyoke. The chair of his doctoral committee is Professor Holyoke. The title of his dissertation is Belief Dynamics in Online Social Networks. I'm proud to present Dr. Daniel Rosenfeld. He will be hooded by Professor Janet Tomiyama. The chair of his doctoral committee is Professor Tomiyama. The title of his dissertation is Promoting Meat Reduction Among Men. I'm proud to present Dr. Julia Shorn. She will be hooded by Professor Barbara Knowlton. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Knowlton. The title of her dissertation is Implicit Learning and Metacognition, a Computational, Behavioral, and Neural Analysis. I'm proud to present Dr. Katie Seeley. They will be hooded by Professor Barbara Knowlton. The chair of their doctoral committee is Professor Alan Castell. The title of their dissertation is The Roles of Motivation and Attention in Lifelong Learning. I'm proud to present Dr. Nancy Smith Vickery. She will be hooded by Professor Michael Fanslow. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Fanslow. The title of her dissertation is Frozen in Fear, Machine Learning Unveils Sex Differences in Rats' Freezing Postures and Defensive Reactions. I'm proud to present Dr. Felix So. He will be hooded by Professor Steve Lee. The chair of his doctoral committee is Professor Lee. The title of his dissertation is Evidence-Based Assessment and Multivariate Risk Profiles of Pediatric Irritability. I'm proud to present Dr. Jordan Thomas. She will be hooded by Professor Jennifer Sumner. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Sumner. The title of her dissertation is Adversity and Trauma Exposure and Related Consequences for Women's Health Across the Lifespan. I'm proud to present Tristan Tibby. He will be honored by Professor Craig Enders. The chair of his doctoral committee is Professor Amanda Montoya. The title of his dissertation is A Comprehensive Comparison of Missing Data Procedures for Tree-Based Machine Learning Methods. I'm proud to present Dr. Mary Vitello. She will be hooded by Professor Jesse Rissman. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Rissman. The title of her dissertation is Neurocognitive Processes Supporting the Segmentation, Differentiation, and Representation of Event Memories. I'm proud to present Dr. Catherine Walsh. She will be hooded by Professor Jesse Rissman. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Rissman. The title of her dissertation is Decomposing Complex Cognitive Processes to Understand Individual Differences in Behavior. I'm proud to present Dr. Mary Watley. She will be hooded by Professor Barbara Knowlton. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Alan Castell. The title of her dissertation is Curiosity Across the Lifespan, General Shifts and Influences on Memory and Metacognition. I'm proud to present Dr. Julia Yarrington. She will be hooded by Professor Michelle Krask. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Krask. The title of her dissertation is Life Events and Psychopathology, the Explanatory Role of Affect and Emotion Regulation. I'm proud to present Dr. Maggie Ye. They will be hooded by Professor Zali Liu. The chair of their doctoral committee is Professor Liu. The title of their dissertation is The Effect of Playing Video Games on Visual Perceptual Skills.
I'm proud to present Dr. Stephanie Yu. She will be hooded by Professor Anna Lau. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Lau. The title of her dissertation is Observing Community Therapists Augmenting Adaptations of Trauma-Focused Cognitive Behavioral Therapy and Their Implications for Clinical Process Outcomes with Racial and Ethnic Minoritized Youth.
I'm proud to present Dr. Icy Yunyi Zhang. She will be hooded by Professor James Stigler. The chair of her doctoral committee is Professor Stigler. The title of her dissertation is From the Lab to the Classroom, Effects of Embodied Pedagogies on Students' Learning of Statistical Concepts. Graduates, please stand and face the audience. Family members, friends, and colleagues, I'm pleased to present the class of 2024.
Graduates, would you like to applaud your family members and friends who applauded you? I want to thank all of you for celebrating this momentous occasion with us. When we began this ceremony, I addressed you, the audience. Now I'd like to address you, the graduates. Welcome to the community of scholars. When you entered this venue, you and the faculty entered separately. We, the faculty, want to conclude this ceremony by leaving together with you as colleagues. Will the faculty, oh, you're already risen. Faculty, would you prepare to join your new colleagues? Will our new PhDs please join the faculty in the recessional, and congratulations.